Hello and welcome. Well, we got some news from some new competitors in the Australian Supercar Series. We also got the brand new Bentley Flying Spurs finally out. News on the powertrain options and some other options coming from the new McLaren P1. There's a whole bunch of people excited about that automobile. Also some rumor mills floating around a brand new Rolls-Royce variant that can be coming in the next 5 years. And how about some new options of what the new high-end versions of the new Corvette Stingray are going to be? First up on the list, well, we talked about the Nissan Altima making its debut in the Australian Supercar Series this year. Well, actually, there's a pair of other cars that are going to be making their debuts this year. Also, the new Mercedes-Benz and Audi variants that are going to be coming down from the German touring car season, DTM. Now, a pretty packed season, at least for the Australian Supercar Series, to have this many actual options in automobiles. It's been a long, long time since they had this many cars, at least different brands of automobiles. I don't know if Ford's actually making its debut, but that actual first race is going to be coming very soon, actually in 7 days. And obviously, if you're here in the United States market, we'll get to see them on the Speed Network coming up this winter. Next up on the list, the Bentley Flying Spur. Over the past several days, been nothing but little videos about this car, little pictures that show you absolutely nothing. And I got tired of watching it, just waiting until the official version. And huzzah, today's the day. Today, actually this morning, they made the official debut as far as this automobile in the first pictures of this car. And let's listen about what some of the stuff this car has. It's going to have a 6-liter, twin turbocharged, W12 engine in it. It's going to be making 575 brake horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. Now, this thing's going to be mated up to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and we're hearing rumors that this thing's going to go 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds, which I think is a Herculean task for a vehicle weighing this much. But it's a gorgeous, gorgeous car, and I'm sure they're going to sell the tar out of these things. No pricing numbers coming soon, but we'll be on top of it when they do come along. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, the McLaren P1. Anytime I talk about the McLaren P1, I end up making somebody angry. Maybe today will be the first day I don't. Now let's talk about some brand new news that came out of the McLaren Technology Center just actually this morning of this taping. We're finally going to hear the actual powertrain numbers. Now, if you watched the actual Vodafone McLaren Formula 1 team launch, you actually heard this vehicle power down, actually after Jenson Button had been out of the car for a couple of seconds. Well, now we know the reason why. This thing's going to have a hybrid system with a lightweight battery pack right in behind the seats, and an actual electric assist engine that's going to be down in the bowels underneath, right around where the crankshaft will be. This thing's all going to be run for a dual clutch 7-speed flappy paddle gearbox. But let's talk about that engine right now. Twin turbocharged V8, 3.8 liters. Now 3.8 sounds a little bit small, right? Listen to what forced induction will do for you. 727 brake horsepower and 531 pounds-feet of torque. Pretty doggone impressive. Now that electric engine that's going to give its assist will put out another 176 brake horsepower and another 191 pounds-feet of torque. Now this thing, like I said, is going to be run through that dual clutch 7-speed automatic, and sounds like this thing's going to be pretty doggone impressive as far as power numbers. Now let's look at some little shot that we have of the interior here. The steering wheel's got a pair of buttons on it, a red one and a blue one. The red one is the IPAS button. It's the Instant Power Assist system. This will allow you the full use of that full electric system anytime, shape, or form, no matter how hard or how soft you're on the throttle. You get that instant 176 horsepower and 191 pounds-feet of torque. I actually had this idea. Thought this would be a nice idea for higher-end hot-rodded hybrids, much like the McLaren P1 here. Not taking credit for this thing and not in any way, shape, or form, but I thought this would really allow older hot rod guys who really, still feel that there's no replacement for displacement as far as the engine is concerned, to really get into hybrids. If you could get a car that you could actually push a button and get an instant surge of speed and power, I think that would really turn on some old hot rodders, especially this old hot rodder. Now, obviously, I'm an idiot, and McLaren is way smarter than me, so they came up with it a lot sooner than I did. Also, the blue button is the DRS button, the drag reduction system button. Now, this deal is actually an old trick from the Formula 1 era. The past couple of years in Formula 1, they've had a drag reduction system, which basically meant that the rear wing had two elements. Like if you had a back part of a wing that came up, and the back part of the wing would have two elements. The top element, then when the drag reduction system was flipped on, would come up, would allow this air to go through and the air to go to the top of the wing, which then reduces drag, just like the namesake says. Would allow the car to run, depending on the length of the straightaway, somewhere between 20 miles an hour, 20 to 50 miles an hour faster, which leads me to believe that McLaren may be wanting to make a speed run, maybe making a shot at what the old McLaren F1 would do, or maybe even up to where the Bentley, or no, the Bugatti Veyron is. So we'll have to wait and see what comes of this deal in the future, if this is actually going to be the case or not. Also, we're hearing this car will actually be able to run on full electric mode for 6.2 miles, which is nothing, but that is more than any other supercar can say that they can do in any way, shape, or form. So, pretty impressive stuff. We haven't heard the actual pricing yet. It's going to be coming up when the production version shows off in Geneva, Switzerland, here in just a couple of weeks. Rumor mills on the next generation Rolls-Royce drop head. Now, this new one is apparently going to get, and it's going to come out, they're thinking somewhere around 2017, if it all comes about. There's still some rumors floating around that it may or may not, but it could be getting a V16 option. Now, this V16 is going to be putting out over 700 brake horsepower. Pretty impressive, but obviously Rolls-Royce aren't built for speed. They're built for comfort, so this vehicle won't be a rocket ship, but obviously with 700 horsepower, it's going to be pretty impressive nonetheless. Let's talk about a couple other horsepower options for the brand new Chevrolet Stingray. Now, the new Stingray we know is going to get a convertible option that's going to actually come out later in the year of 2013. But let's look at the hot rod versions, the Z06 version, the ZR1 version. Hearing rumors about the forced induction ZR1 is going to be actually running around 700 brake horsepower. Now, obviously the Z06 is under it, means it's going to be at least about 100 horsepower less, is that what they're thinking. So around 600 horsepower. Now, we're also hearing the ZR1 could be anywhere from 650 to 700, so obviously the Z06 will actually go in accordance with that. Now, we're also hearing some other weird things coming from Ken Lingenfelter. Lingenfelter Performance is building hot rod Corvettes for years and years. Apparently, they're having a little bit of issue getting around that direct injection system. They say if you change any of the heads or the cam timing or the camshaft itself to change the horsepower numbers, the direct injection system is having a difficult time adapting to this. So they're trying to have to work around with it. It's not as easy as they finally got their hands on the fuel injection system from the old days. But if there is one company that'll get this thing right, I'm sure it'll be Lingenfelter, and they're probably working on it non-stop. So, talking about maybe only horsepower numbers right off the bat being around 700 horsepower, what they can get out of this vehicle, I'm assuming with a little bit of forced induction. But they say that if they get it figured out, they'll get it right back up there to that 1,000 horsepower that you've seen from Lingenfelters in the past. And if you want to jump on over to the Facebook page, there's a lot of good stuff on there, especially the new shots of that new McLaren P1 that they just let out today. Also, there's a bunch of other goofy stuff there if you want to check it out. Don't have to be a member of Facebook. You just have to jump down to the show link, and if you want to, you can give it a like, and it'll be in your actual news timeline as days go on and on. Also, if you want to subscribe to the show, you can actually click down to the subscribe button, and you can get the first dibs on all the new shows as soon as they come out. And that's all I saw that I thought was worth talking about for this week's Motor Cars Enthusiast. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.